Area of triangles.
No. Area. Area of triangles. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with one formula, and I say one formula because there are several formulas for the area of a triangle. But one of it is 1/2 times base times height. That's one that you probably or hopefully remember from geometry. But what does this have to do with trigonometry? There's no trigonometry in here, is there? So
You're about to prove us wrong.
I'm about to prove you all wrong. Dang it. Teenagers think you're always right. You're right maybe 10% of the time. Your parents are right 90% of the time. Don't ever forget that. Draw a triangle. Now label the bottom side here A. This side over here, call it B.
You want it drawn like that?
Exactly like this.
Okay.
Precisely. This angle over here is called theta. Now the altitude, or the height of the triangle, let's start up here at the top vertex, come straight down perpendicular to the base. Let's call that H. Now it is true that the area of this triangle would be 1/2 base times height. But what is the height? Let's say that we're not given the altitude. We don't know the altitude. If we don't know the height of this triangle, we wouldn't be able to figure out the area. But if we knew the angle,
Sine of theta.
so how can we solve for H? Well, what is theta? Or what is the sine of theta, rather? Sine of theta. What's the definition of sine, you guys? Opposite over hypotenuse. Now, don't think about the original triangle. Think about this triangle formed with this altitude. Now it's a right triangle. Okay, thanks. What I mean is this triangle right here. It would be H over B, wouldn't it? Now, how do we solve for H? So H is equal to B times the sine of theta. So now this is going to get a little confusing because this B is not the same as this B. This is, let me actually rewrite this. It's 1/2 times what? I'm going to write the word base times the height, just so we don't get confused with B's and A's and everything else. The area is 1/2 times the base times the height. So let's rework this formula now. The area in terms of a trigonomic ratio is 1/2 times the base normally it's times the height, but what is the height in regards to this triangle right here? What is the height? B sine theta. And in this triangle that I have drawn, what is the base? A. So area is equal to 1/2 A B sine theta. Now, A and B have to be what are called the included sides, or the angle has to be the included angle between A and B. Do you see what I'm talking about? Look at where side A is, and look at where side B is, and look at where the angle is. The angle is between side A and B. You follow? That has to be true. If you're given an angle in a triangle, if you know the two sides that includes that angle, then you can use this formula, 1/2 AB sine of theta. Okay? Let's practice here real quick. Example. draw a triangle here. And let's say that this is 120 degrees. And this is 10. And this side is 3. The directions are to find the area. Now let's just be sure that the formula we just talked about will work. Will the formula work?
Yes.
We have an angle here, 120 degrees, and we have the two sides that includes that angle, so it'll work. We can just call one of them A, we call one of them B. It really doesn't matter which one we call A and B. Area is 1/2 times the product AB times the sine of the included angle. So it's 1/2 times 10 times 3 times the sine of 120. And we need the exact form of this answer, not a calculator approximation. So these integers out front in this 1/2, that's not so bad, but the sine of 120, we got to figure that out by hand, not with a calculator. What is the sine of 120? Well, it's just like those problems we did to review before class started. 120 is not part of a special triangle, but it would turn into 60. The reference angle is 60. So rather than doing the sine of 120, let's consider the sine of 60. We have to look at the 30, 60, 90 triangle. 60 degrees is right here. The sides of a 30, 60, 90 are 1, 2, and square root of 3. So the sine of 60 is the square root of 3 over 2. Now, we have used reference angles here, so sometimes the answer has to become negative. 120 is in the second quadrant.
It's good.
It's good because in the second quadrant, sine's positive. Because all students take calculus. So we have area equals 1/2 times 10 times 3 times the square root of 3 over 2. One half of 10 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15, so we get 15 square root of 3 all over 2. Now technically it is an area, so they're whatever the units of measured are, it's units squared. So that's how you can use area in terms of a trig ratio if you don't happen to know the height or the altitude of the triangle.